episode 4, Fair Skin and Blue Eyes. So we ain't talking about no one on this cast, except for Alice. So this particular episode starts. We're back. Took a break because of the Super Bowl. Couldn't compete with the Super Bowl, but Batwoman is back. That Batgirl magic is here to stay. There's a false face gang, and I'm very intrigued with this false face gang because, like I've said before, from what I know from the false face character. I mean, when I watched the old cartoon show, was it the Batman? I know the false face character showed up on the Batman, but in the old 1960s like Adam West Batman, false face was a character. So I kind of want to see what they're gonna do with the false face now that they're using the false face name. So there's a false face gang where everybody wears like different masks, to cover their identity, to see who they are. They're cooking up some new drug that's supposed to be sweeping the streets. I mean, it's no green light, in Freeland they got the green light. So they got this new thing up in Gotham. Ryan, she's in full bat attire. She's going down, kicking some ass, taking some names, taking out the false face people. As she takes down one of the false face gang members, she is like an alarm goes off. She goes over to check the alarm, and there's a small child there. The child asks her, the child was basically like, listen, like my brother's missing, and I was wondering if you could help, if you could help find him. She goes down to Wayne Tower to go see Luke and Mary. Luke and Mary are still having their whole is Kate alive, is Kate dead situation, and Luke was just like, listen, he was just like, I haven't lost hope, because he was just like, I don't need hope because I never lost hope, and I'm gonna go find somebody who actually gives a damn about trying to find Kate, because Mary, he's just like, you seem like you don't give a damn like if Kate comes back or not. Mary wants to believe that Kate's alive, but she doesn't want to like hope for it, and then when they find out that it's not true, then like her whole world comes crashing apart. Commander Kane, Jacob Kane, he's doing a press conference. He puts out $1 million reward to anybody who has information that can find Kate, because he told the whole city his daughter's alive. She's just being held captive. So Luke breaks out. He goes down. He goes down to talk to Sophie, because he's just like, Sophie's a person who actually gives a damn about Kate, so Sophie would want to help. Ryan rolls up on Mary. The two of them start talking. Ryan's just like, hey, listen, I'm trying to find this kid, and the situation involving this kid is something that I know from my past. So now we dig a little bit, flashback a la Arrow style. We do some flashbacks, and we start looking into Ryan's past. Ryan, when she was a child, before her foster mom met her and she ended up living with that woman, she was in a foster home. Like, there was a whole situation where like she was in foster care with a whole bunch of kids. She was staying at the kids. She ended up making a friend, like this one white girl. She ended up making a friend with this one girl. And we find out later, because they've been teasing like this whole thing with like her ex-girlfriend. Even when she was talking to Victor Zsasz, he was just like, oh, you're such and such's ex, like you're her. They kept bringing up her ex. So, so obviously they bring it up so much to the point where the girl got to come into play at some point. The girl has to have something to do with some of this at some point. So, but we finally get to meet this girl. She met the girl in foster care. The two of them clicked up, became friends, and, obviously as they got older, certain things blossomed. Young Ryan, she was going down looking for comic books because she was a huge comic book nerd. This old white lady, well, she wasn't old at the time, but like this older white lady who was giving off granny goodness vibes, lured Ryan into her van with some comic books and some jelly beans. She ends up kidnapping Ryan and brings her into her house and locks her into the attic. This woman, they were calling her the Candy Lady. Like I said, but to me, she kind of reminded me of Granny Goodness. So the Candy Lady, she's basically someone that takes orphans off the streets, kids that nobody wants, kids that, don't have homes, don't have lives, kids that are like struggling to find their place in life. She takes them, she locks them up, she breaks their spirits, and then after she breaks their spirits and convinces them that nobody wants them, she finds a home for them by selling those kids off to gangs. When the Candy Lady ran up on her, she took her back to her house and she locked her up. She had her in the attic, and she told her that she was going to give her 60 days. She said that I'm going to have this jar of jelly beans. There are 60 jelly beans. She said every day I'm going to remove a jelly bean. By the time we get to the end, you'll realize that nobody wants you. 60 days later, nobody cares about you, and then I'll be forced to sell you, into gang slavery. So Ryan's whole thing was, she was just like, listen, she was talking to Mary about it. She was telling Mary the story, and she told Mary that, she was the one kid who refused to be broken. She said that she wasn't going to be broken by this woman. She wasn't going to let this woman, talk down to her and make her feel like she didn't belong. Once she got close to the end of the 60-day period, there was a moment where some people actually did come to the woman's house looking for a missing child. Ryan got excited because she was like, hey, somebody actually cares about me. Some people are looking for me. And then come to find out, these people, they were looking for some white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. And then everybody was just like, well, that makes sense. But the woman that they were looking for, the girl that they were looking for, was actually Beth. It was Alice. This took place around the time where Alice went missing, and Kate's car and everything went off the rails. So now at that point, Ryan was just like, shit, like, actually nobody does care about me. But then her best friend at the orphanage, the girl who she befriended, that girl never gave up hope. She knew that Ryan was out there, so she found out where she was. She got herself captured by the candy lady, by the jelly bean lady, and the jelly bean lady took her to the house. Ryan and the girl are at the house together, and they basically like tag teamed, like the jelly bean lady. They fought their way out, and they got away from the jelly bean lady. And then obviously the two of them stayed together as like best friends. They got older. As they got older, like feelings got involved. The two of them ended up dating, and that's how the two of them became a couple. Ryan goes down to the house, and she decides not to go as Batwoman, because it would have been more effective had she shown up as Batwoman, and she just went down to the girl's, to the jelly bean lady's house and bust her ass as Batwoman. But instead, she goes down as herself, because she told Mary deadass, she was like, yo, I want this bitch to see my face. like I want to let her know that, the kid that she tried to capture back then, like you didn't get me, what I'm saying? And I'm coming, because, again, they're still trying to find that little boy's brother. She confronts the woman. The jelly bean lady actually has some false face gang members with them. They tase Ryan, knock her out. They lock her up in the attic. Ryan's now having like flashbacks or whatever of her past situation. She snaps out of it. She ends up getting out of the ropes. The jelly bean lady comes upstairs. She whoops her ass, knocks her out. She did find out, however, that the boy that she's searching for, he already got sold into a gang. So although Ryan did get her revenge by punching the jelly bean lady in the face and taking her off to prison, she actually didn't find the child, which was the point of the whole thing all along. So she's out there, she's still looking for the kid. So now we're moving on to Sophie. So Sophie goes home, and when she gets home, Beth's at her house. Beth, like Alice, Beth, like she's talking to Sophie, and she's just like, well, don't you know that we still have a job to do? Like Sophia told us that we had to find this person named Ocean, so we can get Kate back, and then Sophie's just like, well, I'm not working with you. And then she's like, well, you have to, because that's what Sophia said. So the two of them end up like working together for a little bit to try to find this Ocean guy. They're having bad luck trying to find him. They can't really find him, and then Luke knocks at the door, because remember, Luke was on his way to Sophie's house to try to get, Sophie to help him try to find Kate. So Luke knocks on the door, Beth answers, she got the gun to Luke's face. Now there's like a 3-person standoff, which was really funny, because during the whole conversation, Luke was, like Sophie was saying to to Alice, she was just like, don't kill him. Like, we need him in order for us to find, in order to find Kate. And then Luke's just like, what the bitch, what you mean we? He was just like, are you a prisoner or are you working with Alice? And then, she's just like, well, I'm kind of working with Alice, whatever. So they get Luke on it. They're trying to find this Ocean person, because apparently that's the mission. Sophie found out that Beth's whole thing was she was going to kill Ocean. And Sophie was like, I ain't signed up for that. And then she was like, do you want to get Kate back or not? And then Luke was just like, hey, listen, I tracked the, use, I guess, tap it into the back computer. He was like, listen, like, I found a couple of locations where the person might be. Sophie was like, all right, cool, I'm going to go look for it. And she told Alice to stay behind. Sophie's out on the streets. They go to one specific building location where they think Ocean could be. Sophie goes into the building. And when she goes into the building, she gets into it with, like there's a girl who's in the building. It's basically like the drug lab. Like in the beginning when they were talking about this new drug on the streets or whatever, it was being created in that particular building. So when Sophie goes in, there's a girl there. She ends up fighting the girl. And as soon as I saw the girl, I immediately knew out the gate. I was like, oh, that's Ryan's ex-girlfriend, because like Ryan's ex got brought up way too much in this episode for us not to see her. So she fought Sophie. Alice shows up because Alice follows Sophie. She ended up fighting her too. And then the girl was like, she was just like, this is too rich for my blood. She's like, I just came here to try to steal some shit. I'm out. But that was obviously a lie, because there was something in her pocket that she dropped. It was a card that had an address on it. The address was to the actual Ocean, the person Ocean, and the girl was supposed to drop some drugs off to that person after she was done doing what she was doing. But she lied and said that she didn't know anything about it, so they let her go. After they let her go, Beth ended up like looking into it. She found another letter that was just like, oh, here's where you drop off the drugs, or this is where you're supposed to drop the stuff off. So now Alice knows where the Ocean guy is. And then she had this weird flashback when she was back on Sophia's Island. And when she first got to Sophia's Island, and then she saw this one guy, that was fighting or whatever, and then, the two of them made eye contact. She saw his picture on the wall, and I guess that's Ocean, but Alice remembers him, but she doesn't remember why she remembers him. And I feel like him and Alice had a thing. I feel like the two of them were like a couple or something, or had like something going, because it was just like the way that Alice looked at her. That's not how you look at somebody that you weren't like romantically involved with at some point. So I feel like that's going to be a thing going forward. So now Alice, she knows she kind of like knows more about the situation than she did in the beginning. And then like her and Sophie get into it. She knocks Sophie out, and then Alice goes on about her business. Commander Kane, he did some investigating of his own. Somebody actually called in to try to get the reward because again he offered $1 million reward to anybody who had information about Kate. This one false face gang member lied about being there when Kate got on the plane, and then they just used it to set up Jacob. They knocked Jacob out, and they were told this kid, this black boy, that if he wanted to get into the false face gang, he had to kill Commander Kane. And no surprise, the boy is the boy that Ryan's been looking for the whole damn episode. So, the kid's got the gun to Commander Kane's head. Ryan shows up. Now she's wearing the Batwoman costume. She fights the false face gang, knocks him out, beats him down. She ends up talking the kid down because the kid was just like, I just want a family and these people want me. But then she was just like, she's like, you may think that you're alone and that nobody wants you, but she was like, but I see you. She was like, I see you, I was looking for you. Your little brother was looking for you. You have people that care about you. And then she told Commander Kane, she was like, listen, he's a kid. Like, he's not a thug. He's not a gang member. Just like help him. Like, don't lock him up and put him in juvie. Like, help him. Like, help him find his family. Like, get this kid back, back in society. And, Batwoman dipped, and then Commander Kane did the right thing. He found a whole bunch of children that the Jelly Bean lady had ran up on. And then he kind of felt like maybe I judged Batwoman wrong because without her, I wouldn't be standing there today. And he was talking to Sophie about it. And Sophie was just like, well, I found out some information about Kate. And if what Alice is saying is true, we got to find Kate before Alice does, because Alice told Sophie straight up that the only reason why she's even trying to find Kate is so that way when she does find her, she can kill her herself, because Alice was always upset over the fact that she got robbed of like taking down Kate. So she wants to get her revenge, and she doesn't want anybody else to get the revenge that should have been hers. So now Sophie's like, yo, we really got to find this chick before it's too late. So then, in the end, they did the whole thing where, because remember in the last episode, Ryan's PO told her she needed to find an apartment. Kate owned the apartment above the lesbian bar. Mary kind of moved in because since Mary runs the bar now, she just wanted to be closer to the bar if she was going to run it. She told Ryan, she was like, there's another bedroom, we can be roommates. Ryan was like, all right, cool, you ain't gonna twist my arm. So now Ryan and Mary both live in the apartment above the lesbian bar. They had their little talks, and then even Mary came around and she was like, listen, I can't just give up on Kate like that. She was just like, even if she is gone, even if she is dead, even if I need to get closure, I'm never gonna get that if I don't actually try to find her. So now Mary's on board with the let's find Kate train. Ryan's still covering up the kryptonite scar, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of forgot about it because the kryptonite scar popped up in episode 1, and then it never got brought up for the next 2 episodes, and that thing just slipped my mind. So then when she showed the kryptonite poisoning scar, I was just like, oh yeah, that was a thing. So I don't know where that's going, and I feel like the kryptonite scar was supposed to tie into the Superman, the Supergirl or the Superman, crossover we were supposed to get with Batwoman, but if we're not going to get that anymore, I don't know where they're going with this kryptonite scar, but I'm just glad that they brought it up again because, it actually needs to be brought up. So, but we're still looking into that one, but it is being more effective now in the situation. And then finally, Ryan had, there was a point where when they were trying to find the boy, Ryan had texted her ex-girlfriend because since her ex-girlfriend found her when she was a child, she knows where the house is. So she texted her, she didn't get an answer. And she did get an answer. The answer she got was, this is the wrong number. So then, her ex ended up texting her back and was just like, yo, I'm downstairs at your lesbian bar. And again, it was the girl who worked at the drug house. So the two of them talked, and then she was just like, oh, why'd you reach out to me now? And then, she was just like, I just wanted to talk. So the two of them are now going to sit down and talk and maybe rehash their whole situation. This is going to be completely awkward now because the ex works for the false face gang and Ryan is Batwoman. So It may just be a one-off situation where they just have one episode where she finds out like, oh, my ex works for the bad guys, so now I gotta lock you up. Or they may drag this on a little bit longer, and if they do drag it on, the girl's basically gonna become Ryan's Alice. Like, like that's because Kate had Alice. Ryan's gonna have this girl. That's gonna be her Alice if they decide to continue the story arc and not just lock this girl up in a one-off episode. So that was so that was it. That was it. Not a lot of Luke in this episode, and like I like the Luke banter. I did like the fact that Luke and Sophie were together because I like when the two of them team up because it's a good dynamic. They're kind of phasing out Julia. Julia wasn't in this episode either. All we just got was a random text on Luke's computer that, Julia had sent him. So I don't know if they're phasing Julia out of the show, because Kate's no longer here, so it's like, why keep Julia? But we'll see. We'll see what goes on with that. But like I said, in the next, I didn't see the coming attractions yet for the next episode, so I don't know what's going to happen. But like I said, so far the storylines that I'm interested in is like I want to know what's going on with the Kryptonite, and I want to know more about the False Phase gang. And, the whole thing with Sophia and Kate, is that even a real thing? Like, is Sophia telling the truth, or is this all bullshit? And then even the Ocean guy, Ocean and Alice clearly had a thing, and we're going to explore more with Alice and Ocean as well. It's just crazy how, like, all these different because everybody's situation, with the exception of Mary and Luke, they're kind of intertwined. Like everybody's, like people that they're looking for, like the people that are involved with Kate's situation also has something to do with Ryan's situation. It's like this whole big intertwine. And like I said, it's cool to see. It's cool to see how everybody connects. So we'll see how these storylines progress going forward. So thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment, like and or subscribe. Check me out on social media. Check me out on the Tacos and Geeks podcast that I do with Tacos and Geeks Sean and Justin, also with Gotham Geek Girl Nadia, which is a very good podcast. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to watch it. Hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram, definitely hit me up on YouTube. I always answer comments and questions that people ask me on YouTube so we can get the conversation going with all this stuff. Still doing WandaVision. We got Black Lightning coming up, today. Like the Black Lightning episode drops today, so we'll be doing Black Lightning. Like I said, WandaVision at the end of the week. Superman, I believe, starts next week, and then once that happens, we're going to do Superman and The Flash and beyond. So thanks again, everybody. So for Batwoman, until episode 5, take care, and I'm out this bitch.